Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering woke Disney kills Snow White, loses $218 billion, and is destroyed by South Park. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. I really appreciate you guys. Disney has put out word that they're going to be changing up the Snow White movie. Okay, here's the bottom line. Disney has delayed the Snow White remake with Rachel Zegler and a Pixar movie called Elio for at least a year. They've removed their Jonathan Majors Magazine Dreams movie from the calendar, so they won't be releasing that Jonathan Majors movie either. Of course, Jonathan Majors got into a fight with his girlfriend, got arrested, and now has to deal with his legal problems. You may also notice that now Snow White has a, quote, first look going around. This is in Variety, but it's really everywhere. Snow White, first look, Rachel Zegler, and the Seven Dwarfs? Wait, what do you mean Seven Dwarfs? Yeah, they got rid of their magical creatures. Now, interestingly, they've gone back to the dwarfs, obviously because they've got tremendous negative feedback about it, and while Disney wants to remake the world and have everyone follow whatever Bob Iger and friends thinks our new values should be like, at some point, they really do need to listen to customer feedback. This doesn't mean you should have faith in these people. I don't know that they're going to do a good job on this. They should really just cancel the whole thing. But they can't afford to keep damaging Disney's brand this much. They had to back down. Disney's stock is down $218 billion. This is coming from Bloomberg from their high in 2021. The stock has been going lower. It could continue to go lower. And they've got problems. They've got this guy, Nelson Peltz, an investor that gets onto companies' boards and pushes for change. Just did a video about this yesterday called "Woke Company Lost Billions, Now Dropping the Propaganda." And this was when Nelson Peltz got on the board of directors for this multi-billion-dollar company Unilever. He was essentially able to force them to get rid of the existing CEO who had been with the company for 38 years. And now the new CEO has come along and announced they're going to retreat from their woke agenda. Interesting video if you want to check it out, because now Nelson Peltz is shaking up Disney, and he's shaken up other companies before. From the Sunday Times, 5 times activist investor Nelson Peltz went to war. He's been doing company acquisitions and company investments since the 1980s. South Park just came out with an episode that completely destroys Disney and does a great job of satirizing their woke approach to all their intellectual properties. And so here's the story on the delay for Snow White. Coming from Business and Politics, woke reboot of Snow White delayed until 2025 following backlash. Keeping in mind, the Snow White movie was supposed to be released in about 4 months, March 2024. Now it's going to be supposedly March 2025 if they ever even release it at all. The controversial live-action reboot of the beloved animated Disney classic Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which has been criticized for its woke update and its unlikable star, has been delayed for a year, leading to some speculation that it may never be released. There is zero benefit to Disney for releasing this movie. For example, the son of the original Snow White director dissed the upcoming remake, saying there's no respect for what Disney did. Quote, "I think Walt and my father would be turning in their graves." I mean, when the son of the director for the original movie that launched Disney as a major animation company says that Walt Disney and his own father would be turning in their graves, that's how you know, well, maybe we've gone a little bit too far. Let's cut it out. Let's remake movies where Walt Disney maybe wasn't even alive at the time. Let's just not really mess with Walt Disney's whole history, because there's no way for them to get a return on investment for this movie. If they spend $320 million making this movie, which is what Disney seems to like to spend on their live action remakes, and the movie even did $1 billion or $2 billion, it's not worth the reputational risk for the whole company, because this movie impacts all their other brands. It impacts all their other businesses. It makes it look like they're terrible stewards of Walt Disney. They certainly have done other things that look bad, but this so far seems to have gotten the worst response of all of their live remakes, because this movie is an important movie. The original Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs movie was an important movie. It should not be remade unless you think you might be able to do something to improve on the original, which they can't do. On Friday, The Hollywood Reporter broke the news that the overhaul of the 1937 big screen cartoon that has delighted generations of kids for nearly 90 years until the wokesters at the House of Mouse decided to overhaul it has been bumped from its previously scheduled debut until at least 2025. Quote, Disney on Friday announced it's delaying the release of its live-action Snow White movie starring Rachel Zegler by a year from March 22nd, 2024 to March 21st, 2025. The film, which is officially titled Disney's Snow White, is among the studio's biggest offerings of the year and is one of the anchors of its spring slate, the entertainment website reported. The news comes as images of Zegler and CGI dwarfs were posted to social media as the troubled studio has seemingly scrapped an idea to replace the title characters' elfin sidekicks with an updated collection of, quote, magical creatures in a nod to diversity, the pseudo-religion that has metastasized like an advanced form of cancer throughout Western culture and institutions. But Disney made no mention of this change from the magical creatures back to the original dwarfs, which is kind of incredible. It really makes Disney look desperate. If I were at Disney and I was like, okay, we made a big mess here, we kind of need to fix this, I would still not release an image of Zegler with the dwarfs, even if I was going to add the dwarfs. You have to wait till the right time. Saying you're going to delay it a year, then showing an image with dwarfs with no explanation doesn't make any sense. It really actually looks weak. Quote, Disney's Snow White, a live-action musical reimagining of the classic 1937 film, is coming to theaters on March 21st, 2025. The film, which stars Rachel Zegler, invites audiences back into the magical world of Snow White with beloved songs and recognizable characters such as the Evil Queen and, of course, Dopey, Grumpy, Sneezy, Bashful, Happy, Sleepy, and Doc. What do they mean? Of course, they took those dwarfs completely out of the movie. Well, this is their way of saying, look, we're backing off. We're going to throw these characters in. If they would just be sincere, if they would just be honest, they'd get a much better response from fans, at least fans of what Disney used to be. The updated Snow White has been savaged by critics unhappy with the bastardization of the original and was slammed by the son of the 1937 classics director, who said that the new vision would have his father and Walt Disney himself turning in their graves. Not helping matters is Zegler, who not only isn't white, but also trashed the original. And here's what people have been saying on Twitter. From Clay Travis, Disney announced today that they're delaying their woke live-action Snow White remake by a year. The movie will now come out in 2025. Here's a prediction. It's never getting released. Yet there is no good business reason for Disney to release this movie. They could just put it, quote, back into development and just try to push it away and forget it and focus on promoting other things that people haven't responded so negatively to. Other reactions to Disney's delay of its latest box office flop. From Rock Hard Place. Oh no, but it looks so good, and Rachel Zegler was doing such a great job promoting it. From the great heel versus babyface, Snow White is delayed a year to March 2025. Will it ever come out? Is it gonna be reshot? Rehab Rachel Zegler's poisonous attitude? Berdagi Future says, couldn't this be a way to redeem themselves and backtrack on the whole culture push? I could see it that way if a new movie had major corrections. Hash Potato says, might want to scrap the actress who has a deep hatred for Snow White as well. Remove her too. Juan says, yet another example of corporations attempting to ride the woke wave without understanding their audience. Maybe next time Disney will prioritize storytelling over trend chasing. Johnny Pride says, scrap the whole film and start again. That's the thing. They don't need to start again. They don't need to try to improve on something that's probably impossible to improve upon. Because while it was timeless, it was still of its time, which made it perfect for what it was. We don't actually have to destroy history to have a future. We need our history so that we can have a future. I'm going to have to call these guys and explain that to them. Viral Vibe said, they scrapped their diversity creatures in favor of CGI dwarves. The Real ZNO says, better idea, never release it. Once a golden brand that was known for producing decades of enduring family-friendly entertainment, Disney has now come to be more associated with groomers and indoctrinating youngsters into the homosexual lifestyle. As the son of the original's director put it, Walt Disney is probably spinning in his grave to see what depraved leftists have done to his company. Coming from Red State, South Park is really sticking it to Hollywood's woke culture and people are loving it. South Park is without question the smartest show on television. Despite it being a mix of dirty jokes and fart humor, beneath that surface is a show willing to say what the vast majority aren't willing to about today's society. It's why South Park continues to be a favorite for many Americans and continues to exist in the midst of an ever-changing media landscape. At some point, if you become popular enough, you will be lampooned by South Park creators Matt Stone and Trey Parker. Two men who have been unafraid to make fun of people who really don't want to be made fun of for years. This time, they took aim at Disney Lucasfilm studio head Kathleen Kennedy and woke culture itself, which has demanded that anyone and everyone be replaced with diverse characters. In the latest episode, one of the four main characters, Eric Cartman, is describing a bad dream he keeps having to a therapist he's seeing. Cartman notices that all of his friends are being replaced by diverse versions of themselves. Cartman himself has been replaced with a black woman, and as he goes through his school, he notices that everyone he cares about has been replaced with a Hispanic, Asian, or black version of themselves. Also, they're all women, which makes absolutely no sense, but that's also a nod to all of the crazy race and gender swaps they've done, which also don't make sense in mainstream entertainment TV shows and films. In addition to Eric Cartman, there are multiple versions of Kathleen Kennedy. Cartman finds the real version of Kathleen Kennedy and gets an explanation as to what's been going on. Apparently, Kennedy found the Pander Stone in her universe, an artificially intelligent object that creates the same movie over and over again, while still making a lot of money and making movies that appeal to people, even though essentially they're the same movie again and again. That's a reference to how a lot of Disney's movies have been derivative even long before Star Wars, long before Marvel. It's something that has been very common in Disney stories. However, as Kennedy used the Pander Stone more and more, it angered the audience, forcing Kennedy to use it more out of spite. Soon, the overuse of the Pander Stone opens a portal into other universes, allowing another Kennedy to come through, one that seemed fused with Eric Cartman. This Kennedy takes over and is now making everything more diverse. Quote, "That's actually the best explanation I've heard of as to why Disney movies all suck now," says Cartman. Earlier this year, Parker and Stone tackled the ridiculous self-victimization of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, a couple that was enjoying a stint by painting themselves as the hated black sheep of the royal family. The episode featured a duo who resembled the duo in every way, save they were from the royal family of Canada. South Park loves making references to Canada. They went on a privacy tour while effectively forcing everyone to pay attention to them, including one of South Park's main characters, Kyle Broflovsky. While it's unclear if South Park was responsible for Harry and Meghan's star fading in the public, it surely started happening after the episode. This is the same show that stuck its middle finger directly at China, going so far as to have one of their characters say F China in an episode about Chinese censorship. Hilariously, it was another episode that went after Disney for its continued bending of the knee to the communist Chinese regime. All in all, South Park continues to prove that it's one of the more important shows on television, as it's one of the few willing to speak the truth. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Did you think Snow White would get delayed? Did you think Snow White would get canceled? Did you have any guess or impression that maybe they would get rid of the magical creatures in this Snow White movie and then put the dwarfs back? That is definitely not something that I saw coming. I figured they might just cancel it because it really didn't look like it was worth the risk. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.